that I'm no joke. No joke, baby, I'm no joke. Oh, na, na, na. No joke, baby,
Hey
I'm
guys,
no
welcome to another episode of Talk That Talk. I'm your host, King Rems, and today I'm joined by the one and only Mr. Cockney Black. How you doing, sir?
Not too bad yourself.
Awesome, I'm all right. We've got the lovely Cherry Tart, aka Elizabeth, and we've got our resident social blogger, Miss Faith Fontaine. How you doing, darling?
I'm good, thanks.
Influencer, by the way.
Yeah,
not
sorry,
blogger.
influencer.
Content creator.
Content creator, not
Okay.
influence. Innit? Today we're going to be talking about a meaty topic. I think a topic that we don't address enough as a community to understand really what's going on in the world. And it's about, are we becoming more politically extreme? So by politically extreme, I mean the move towards far right and far left ideologies and what that represents.
Could you clear up what's what?
What do
What
you
is
mean?
far left and what is far right? The ideologies.
So the ideologies of far left and far right. Faith, please.
I think far right is the more right wing is obviously more conservative. Ideologies and politically more conservative. What you would imagine a conservative political stance to be, but to go off to the far extreme is more like
The right you're still talking about.
the right, yeah.
Oh,
so
sorry.
the right, yeah. So that's more like what's this party?
BNP and all that,
BNP,
anything,
all those
racist
types of
or-
people.
Or
Yeah.
EDL in there, man.
EDL
Yeah.
is far right in a lot of ways, and then on the left side is obviously the more like liberal way of thinking. Traditionally, they're a lot more on board with socialism and whichever way on the spectrum. But obviously on the extreme end of that is kind of like your political correctness warriors.
Yeah.
It's the people who are, Antifa, for example, if you've heard of them in America. It's those people that want to enforce liberalism and people to be accepting of things in such a dogmatic way.
Yeah, and there's no balance.
But there's also like a argument saying that the far left doesn't actually exist, because it's in its manifestation, like the extreme left is something that the right wing, especially the far right wing, use to kind of counteract what they think what their political enemies essentially. So people that are extremely for things like social reform, for things like free healthcare, things like rights for gay people and rights for trans people, wanting trans people to use, for example, public bathrooms, if they want to use the sex that they identify with. People that are extremely for that, they call that the far left. And I think a lot of people would say, well, why can't we just accept? Yeah, but it's like, so a lot of people, I think most people in the Western world are accepting of things up to a point. So people are saying, well, aren't these the things that generally people are accepting of? How can that be deemed the far left? But there's still a lot of people that will say
and they kind of enforce their ideologies onto you. So when you've got the far left or the far right, it's basically an extreme. So they're going from one, there's no balance, there's no stable ground. So this is where you get that political war, because each person thinks they're right on each side, and they stand by their point of what they're trying to fight for. The thing is, with politics, it gets really techy because this normally causes arguments and debates where people have a certain ideology, and if you're not on the same wavelength, this is how wars start, this is how all these things start. But the thing with politics as well, it's bullshit. Right, all of them, whether they're left, right, up, down, they are all have one agenda, and that's to benefit themselves.
Yes.
What do you mean by that, though? When you say they're all bullshit, who are you talking about?
Both extremes, so it's for left and right.
Yeah, if you think about
because
the
there's no
conservatives-
balance, because everybody thinks that they're right. Everybody wants people to conform to what their way of thinking when they're far left or they're far right.
Yeah.
You see, so there's no balance. So it's a case of you're actually doing exactly what your opposing team is doing.
Or if you think about it in more simpler terms, if you think about Labour and the Conservative Party, they are perceived to be for different things, right? But they all went to the same schools, they've all adopted the same ideologies, they all roll in the same social and corporate circles.
So there's
So
an
in the
agenda
grand
to
scheme of
benefit
things,
themselves.
it's the same devil, just in a different
I
dress.
think they're definitely much more moderate parties.
There are.
Definitely. But when you look
Considering
at
some,
we'll probably bring it back to more moderate thinking, but on the extreme end, I think far right people do a lot of the things that they do is very selfish.
Yeah.
But whereas the far left tend to do things from an altruistic point of view. However, for example, these people that want the Insulate Britain people, right? You could say that they're a far left organisation, they're far left, you know, activism. What's it called?
Activism. The activist
organisation. So their thing is like, we want to help Britain, want to help people that, you know, help people's energy bills come down, want to save the world, but which sounds wonderful, and I think everybody here can agree that we want these things. However, the way that they're going about it is so extreme. It's actually taking away from the message. Yeah, it's making them look like laughing stocks, to be honest, and it's causing problems. Like someone had a stroke, couldn't get to hospital. Yeah. And all these types of things that they're doing. So I don't know, it's just interesting, like how one side it's all about like their political gain, and then the other side it's like trying to save the world, but whilst it's damaging it.
So to broaden it, whilst talking about the world, why do you think we're seeing more votes for right-leaning organisations in global elections?
Things go in cycles, and I think for a long time in the Western world anyway, we've been seeing more like socialism and not in like the crazy way, but I mean like as in like social democracy kind of way, and that hasn't helped because there's a huge, also we're dealing with globalization, so we're dealing with immigration and migration and all these things, and I think what the right do is that they are so good, because we are very uneducated. Yeah, I'm going to talk about in the UK. Yeah, we are a very uneducated bunch, and we don't understand how things work. And when you have a party that have so well, they're not stupid. They're very intelligent people. They use our fears and
fear-mongering.
Yeah, they use our fears and against us. And they create narratives that we think, actually, it is the Romanians. It is.
You know what?
It is the Polish.
Wasn't it Trump that said he'll become a Republican because the people are stupid enough?
Exactly.
Trump actually said that.
Yeah, they're so busy putting us against minorities and people who come over here for better lives that we're forgetting.
So they'll actually hone in on the poor and be like, and almost kind of give this ideology that they're helping them, but really and truly, there's one agenda, and again, that's to benefit them.
And that's what populism is all about, because. Labour were populism. It's basically like it's like mandering to people's needs, the people's needs. Labour did that. They were the ones that, you know, with the benefits
and then do what I want afterwards.
Yeah, and then everyone thought, well, that didn't work. And then the Conservatives came in with the NHS. They did it with
Brexit. They were going to fund the NHS.
And
they didn't do it.
We're seeing that these things are not working. So I think, you know, these parties take the piss out of us.
They do.
They, like I said, they prey on our fears or our needs, and then try and package us a solution. When really, when you actually, people don't read manifestos. And
they're transparent in what they're going to do. That's the thing.
They have to be.
But to be fair, the Conservatives, they said they weren't going to increase national insurance tax, and they weren't going to allow...
Isn't that rising next week or next month?
It's rising to an additional 1.25 pence per pound. Yeah. And there's also the rise to 3.99% of council tax. So you got to consider the fact that even with what's in the manifesto, even around like the pence and triple lock and stuff, they're still doing whatever it is they want to do. They're still, as you said, they're still benefiting themselves. Like how many billions of pounds were fraudulently given out in contracts at the start of COVID? Yeah, but you can't find £20 a week to uplift universal credit, but you can't feed kids.
The amount of contracts that they gave to their friends.
Friend them, the man.
And these people were taking out things, our tax-paying money, from fear-mongering as well. Yeah. Guys, we need to inject money into this, inject into that to save the country, basically. And all they did was basically rob us left, blind, and right, and centre. Left, right, and centre.
Rob us blind.
And so I'm thinking of the poor
blind and deaf.
Well, we're going to be at some point. Yeah. What a lot of people haven't factored in is from 2023, every local council, every local borough council, every council receives a certain amount of apportioned funding from the general fund of the national government. From 2023, no council is receiving that. So it's literally survival mode. So you're going to have councils that are cutting services. You're going to have councils that are having questions about whether we're going to be able to collect your bins, whether we're going to be able to clean your streets, whether we're going to be able to maintain your parks. Croydon went bust. Northampton Council went bust.
Yeah.
So we're going to be looking at real positions where some councils can't even operate outside of just statutory services.
But
So we're
isn't
not thinking about that.
who is it lately? She spent 500k on a private jet. That politician.
I saw it in the papers
one of
the
the
other day. I
minutes.
don't know her name.
They are bleeding us dry.
Wait, is
to
it my
live.
babe? Is it my babe's Pretty Patel? Because that's my babe.
No.
What?
Listen, she's a pagan, but she's fine.
She is
please,
pretty.
don't
She is
do
actually
this.
pretty.
Let's
She's
not-
fine, but she's
Pretty
a
is pretty.
pagan.
All right, but she's a bumberhole.
She is a
all
bumberhole,
right?
yes.
The thing is,
I would.
Okay, so-
we've all got these ideologies, and we're listening to conservatives, we're listening to Labour, we're listening to whoever it is that we follow, and they are literally draining us in every way, mentally and financially. They are draining everybody across the board, apart from the rich.
Yeah.
The rich are getting richer. They're doing what they want.
There's
They
more millionaires and billionaires
Okay,
than ever.
so I have to bring up Tony Blair.
That
Now-
bumberhole.
Now, the thing is, he is a war criminal. He has done things that are so heinous to so many people, all right? And they made us believe that we are under attack, that this is what's going on, and all they wanted to do was go to a place where they could find no weapons
Farm
of mass
oil. They went to
destruction.
farm oil and heroin,
Yeah.
man. They went to
This
farm
is
oil
what
and
I'm saying.
heroin, man.
People are so dumb and they just fall. I think, to be honest, I think people are becoming a little bit more astute into these things now and actually trying to look into, you're saying this, but let me read your manifesto real quick. Let me look into your history.
They're hitting us in the pay packet. Like, literally everything, the cost of living from April, if you aren't making a certain amount and you've got responsibilities, it's peak for you.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot.
From April, what is it? If there's a 5% hike, is
5%,
energy
there's a
bills go up
4%
by £2
hike.
they're saying, aren't they? 90%.
There's 50%. There's going to be a 50% up market on up cost on energy bills. There's going to be a 4% cost on all broadband utilities. There's going to be a 3.99% rise in council tax. There's also going to be a rise in what's the other tax? National insurance. So the national insurance contributions are going to rise by 1.25 pennies per pound. So if you're earning like £2,000, it's like extra, like, I don't know, I can't count. Maths ain't my strong point, but it's still a lot of money. And the cost of living, like wages in terms of inflation, hasn't gone up in years.
Yeah.
Like, it's absolutely bonkers.
Yeah,
so people are
inflation's
having to be
high.
more astute because you are literally robbing us now. Are you going to rob us blind to the point we're going to be ignorant about it as well?
They rob us from every angle. I have to talk for healthcare workers, how they're doing them so dirty right now, right? At the end of the day, when we were in the height of the pandemic, all these people were there fighting, taking care of us, trying to keep our loved ones.
on a Tuesday or a Thursday,
It was a
whatever it is.
Thursday. Clap for every single day. And now they're saying, you know what? We've got things under control.
Down with the vaccine, get rid of it.
Yeah, you got to get out.
And
Hang on a minute, I
they're
should have had the
1% pay
vaccine
rise.
when I was taking care of these people how many years ago? Because we've been stuck in this for years now.
They offered them a 1% pay rise, you know. One bomber.
But yet Bojo's having his parties and number 10,
But as
right?
a standard, all politicians got an 8% pay rise this year.
Yep.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's absolutely bonkers, and we have
And then
to
we
be more
follow,
astute.
we want to believe as society what they say. So this is why people do have conservative views, or people have more of a Labour type view. All right? And we want to believe what they say, but none of them come to fruition with anything that they promise. And I think they should be held accountable. And I think that any party that comes into power, if you say you're going to do this, you have to do it. It's as simple as that. You can't be coming out with, even the Labour, they're coming out with all these things of, oh, we'll put money into this. Where the fuck is the money coming from?
Cherry Tart babes,
You know?
the manifesto is signed and sealed by Her Majesty the Queen's royal.
You say that, but
ting
she doesn't
salon.
actually do it. The thing is, when we go into the Queen, even though her name's on it, she's not really sitting there reading all these manifestos and saying, yeah.
Lizzie ain't finna put her name on there.
No, she goes by her government and what her government says and what
But
they
then
feel
who's
is
to hold
right.
them to account then? Because if she's signing
They're
off
not
on some
being held to
shit-
account. This
The
is the
people
problem. They're
are
not being
supposed
held.
to
We're
hold
the
them
people that needs to hold them account. We're the ones who put them in power.
You see, France would
People
never have
don't
this.
realise, even like with common law, the amount of rights
would
we
never
have.
have this. If France don't like some shit, them motherfuckers is right. And France are
Listen,
the
France is a
levels.
bumberhole because they're still taking colonial tax from African countries. Fuck France. I'm sorry.
Fair
all
enough,
right?
fair
No
enough.
disrespect to French people. If the cap fits, wear it. All right? I love my French people, but we're talking about the government here,
The
not
French
the people.
the French
All right?
people.
Not the people.
They
We're talking
riot.
about their government.
The government are
all
paying
right?
for
They're
the French
treating
people
everyone.
riot.
are very weak as well.
And
I
the
do
UK is
think-
just as
I
bad.
think it's annoying that the people that aren't weak are the ones that have the most stupid, opinions. Like, you know, this Tommy, what's his face, his people, them.
Robinson.
Yeah, him. He's a pagan. Him and everyone involved in his little party, they're all idiots. But like, they have the
They celebrate unseasoned food.
Literally. Do you know what? Yeah, they hate all this migration and immigration shit.
Well, where do they get their curries from on a Friday?
Curry. I don't want to see you eat a chow mein. I don't want to see you eat like a kebab on a Friday night. Don't eat pizza.
Can't
Literally
wear Gucci.
Eat
Can't wear
bangers and
Fendi.
mash every day.
Yep.
Shepherd's pie.
Unseasoned food.
Don't even eat lasagna.
Don't even pick up the black pepper.
Don't
even do it.
Because that came from India.
Not even a
originally.
tutu paprika. You
The
man
problem
can't.
I have, like, obviously being serious now, people like to pick and choose when it comes to this immigration thing. People like to pick and choose, like, oh, you know, it's okay, we'll have the pepper, you know.
Yeah, but we won't have you.
Well, we'll take the
pizza,
doctor, but we won't take anybody else.
We'll have, and also, like, forget the pizza thing, because I think in this country, Italians are okay. But the other type of white, Polish ain't okay.
Yeah,
And,
the Romanians,
and it's
the
okay for
Kosovans.
us to go to safari in Africa. It's all right for us to steal your artifacts.
But we can't give them back.
Oh, don't get these dirty Africans here. Same with Indians. We'll drink tea all day long, to the point now we'll call it English tea.
Let's talk about Windrush
where did
with
tea
your
come
girl,
from?
Pretty Patel.
Exactly.
That
whole scandal
is
from way back.
liberty.
Listen, they bring our ancestors over here and say to them, we've got a job for you, we've got homes for you, with the promise. They come here, rebuild. When it comes time for pensionable age, they send them back to countries they haven't lived there in decades.
It's disgusting.
Bumbleholes.
It actually is.
But to move the kind of conversation on, are we becoming less moderate and more tolerant to other lifestyles? So when you think about races, nationalities, religion,
let me just
sexuality.
go on that. Yeah, straight up, I'm going to touch on the sexuality thing. Stop pushing it. Stop pushing all this gay stuff in our face. And I'm talking about transgender, and everybody knows how I feel about gays and transgender. I love my Remy.
How do you feel?
I have nothing against them, and it's nothing against them per se. It's a case of, it's nothing to do with the fact that they're gay or trans or anything. I don't even want to see heterosexuality put in my child's face. I don't want them to be taught about certain things. Leave that to me. Don't get me wrong. We have to have a level of tolerance and understanding.
I agree.
But the thing is, kids don't even see this. But okay, Sex and the City has just recently come back. And I'm sorry, I love Sex and the City, been a fan for many, many years. They are pushing this gender neutral, they, this, that, them, whatever the terminology is, in our face so much, to the point it's so noticeable in Sex and the City. I'm like,
it's so corny the way.
Yeah,
Look, I
it's the way
understand
they're
to a
doing.
point. I understand to a point.
We have to be educated, and we have to be tolerant.
Yeah, I agree.
Of just even animations, like they have to be changing everything.
I think that we have to be
They're
mindful.
more, wait,
Hold on,
one
let me
second.
finish.
They're more prepared to worry about gays, trans, and making sure that our children are tolerant of that, or rather than racism.
I agree, but let me finish. There are a myriad of issues within many different communities. I think for me, the balance is allowing kids to develop holistically.
Yeah.
And at a point, it's about acceptance, it's about understanding, but it isn't about the idea of, no one wants to be tolerated, so it's not about teaching tolerance. It's, if somebody's different, accept them, don't treat them any different. I don't agree with what has become, in my opinion, the monetization of the LGBTQ plus community. It's whoever can get the most funding and shout loudest. I don't agree with Pride, because you know the money you get for Pride you can put into mental health services for trans people, or NHS treatment for trans people, or mental health support for LGBTQ plus community. There's so much more you can do.
Does the government fund Pride?
No.
Oh,
Pride is self-funded, like by whatever local council or local organisation. So for me, I agree with you. I think there's an element of education and acceptance, but I think that it has strayed too far. It's almost trendy. It's kind of like everybody wants to be seen as being trendy and accepting so they can push their brand a little further. Yeah. It's about people's personal branding and being able to say we're equal and we're diverse. You don't need to do all of that. Just function correctly. And I think quite rightly you've said racism has never been correctly addressed. It's never been at a point of people actively
I find it
calling out and combating ignorance.
Wait, but Remy, they're more worried about kids understanding sexuality than tolerance.
Because homophobia affects white people, racism doesn't. That's the problem. That's why coronavirus is an issue, but hunger isn't. Because white people, traditionally, which white people, they ain't dying of hunger. Yeah. They ain't getting Ebola. They're getting coronavirus. So anything that affects white people on masses is a problem.
But we are bowed out by...
Sorry, darling, what you say?
What we bowed out by the EU for? Did we get funding for lack of food? Well, I'm sure...
You're talking about Rashford providing for the school kids? A footballer? They didn't, and
not
I
only
think the
that, but
government decided to put money
Don't
on
we have the most
that.
pregnant food banks in Europe?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
We also have the highest rate of teenage pregnancy in Europe.
Yeah, so basically, if the country's white, then they are concerned with poverty.
They're not concerned with the working class.
You get it?
Yeah, we
Also,
live
as
in a
well,
very classist
why is it-
society.
This is a couple of things I've picked up on. Why did you say transgenders get funding for mental health?
No,
No,
there should be. There
be.
should be funding in place because I think that
Yeah.
you shouldn't, in my opinion, I don't think that you should go through something as evasive and as challenging as that without the right mental health support and intervention. You've got kids as young as 13 and 12 saying that they feel like they're in the wrong body.
Are you talking about post-operation?
Before you even get to that.
So you think they've got a mental health issue?
I think
Yeah.
that there needs to be an address. I think that there needs to be professional support to allow somebody to understand the beginnings of why they feel how they feel and work through it, rather than saying, "You've told me you're in the wrong body. In the name of equality, we're going to go with that.
Yeah.
We're going to launch you having a sex change or change a gender change."
Why
I
do you
don't
feel
think
this
that
way
that's
should
correct.
be the concern?
I think that you should work with the young person, work with it through them. And if at 18, when they're an adult and you've worked with them for a considerable period of time, you feel that gender reassignment is the natural progression and what is going to correct how they feel, go through it. But I do not like the way the system currently operates.
Yeah.
And
know
also,
what?
you also saying as well. Sorry.
on, you go.
Yeah. So, because you also said that you don't think heterosexuality should be taught to children in schools.
Yeah, so
Sexualising kids,
what
innit?
I'm talking about, is the
Sexualising children.
Sexualisation.
the agenda that I feel is being pushed in our children's face, or even in my face. I don't want to see this thing all the time. I feel uncomfortable even if I see a man and a woman like kissing on the pole
There's a
sometimes.
lot of things like
That's what I'm saying. It's like this subliminal messaging, and it's like if you raise your kid right, they will be tolerant and they don't see these things. So we're pushing it in their face. Kids will see even a man and a man kissing and they won't even think anything because it just kind of goes over their head. They don't even notice it, But when it's like pushed in their face constantly, that is what I've got a problem with. It's not about being ignorant about things or arrogant
it's a
about
normalisation
things.
of a lot of things they shouldn't see. And do you know what I always use as an example?
At such young ages.
The films, the Bad Boy films, the Bad Boy trilogy. The first Bad Boy film was in
With
18.
Will Smith
and Martin Lawrence. The first one was in 18, 1993 that came out. The subsequent ones were 15 and a 12A. They all had the same amount of sex and violence and intimacy. So it shows through the generations how we've stopped the tolerance of what young people should see. It's not right. It's not okay. And I agree, whether it's heterosexual, whether it's a mix or whatever. I think sexualizing children young they shouldn't be doing those things. Like when I was a kid and you were playing it and you touch somebody's bum, you're not thinking, "Oh my God, I touched your bum." It's like, you're it. Now, like young kids are actively doing sexual things. Like I read about this 12-year-old boy who was trying to rape.
Oh.
Like at that age, it's like that shouldn't even be
heard about the 12-year-old. This came out recently, like the guy that got acquitted of rape, rape, because the 12-year-old joined Tinder or something like that, created a profile.
He's 20 or so.
And he was 20 and said that. And she said, no,
The judge said?
she said she was 20 on the
thing.
Tinder or Hinge, whatever. And because of that, he was let off.
But the thing is, the politicians are not focusing on the right things. Do you know how much child abuse is going on in the UK? And they are only concerned about energy fucking bills and taking money from us. How about you look at the problem, one, within your party, because the thing that's going on in that amount of people...
Jerita, how many politicians was Jimmy Savile around when he was going around sexing up these poor young girls? How many politicians are aware of the nunneries and the children's homes and the Catholic priests and all of them man that are doing the things that they're doing? There's many things that we can't say because it's pure speculation, but I think we all know. So of course they're not concerned.
Sometimes, obviously, these people are in charge of like the purse, the
kind of financial.
Purse. But I think we put too much faith in these people to help us. I think we need to. I'm always going to talk about black people. I think these people are not working on our behalf.
Of course
at all.
not.
So,
but then what do you do? Where do we stand? Where do we go?
This is the thing. We need to, as a community,
come together.
We need
and
to come. We're just so fractioned, and I think, of course, you can support a party, absolutely. But I think on a micro political level, I just feel like there's loads of great people doing things, but do we have to support them? Do we even know who they are?
But then,
do you know what I mean?
But it's broader than just.
We don't have spokespeople within our community. Like I guess years ago there was more need for it because there was like people wanted to be liberated from oppression, extreme oppression. Now we have a lot more freedoms.
Sorry to cut you, but I just have to say this. Look at Dawn Butler, how she has been chastised. She's a MP. How she got kicked out of Parliament for calling Boris a liar, which we all know he's a fucking liar, right?
He's a jealous.
Right, and now everybody's questioning him about being a liar, and I don't see anybody else getting
and
thrown
nobody's
out.
apologising to Dawn.
Nobody's apologised to Dawn. Nobody's said sorry to her.
Is she a black lady?
She's a black woman, and she fights. She does fight it. But then we've got bumberholes like Sean Bailey that is fucking doing shit with them, having these parties, and there's no accountability. He hasn't been chastised or punished for it. He's like, I'm out. The politicians fuck shit up, and they're like, oh, I'll just resign. Be held accountable.
Prime example.
No, but this is why politics is
Tony
a joke.
Blair.
This is why politics today is a joke, and I don't know why people aren't opening their eyes and seeing these people are making fun of us.
Yeah.
They're doing whatever the hell they want to do.
At our expense.
And they're just making so many blunders to the point like it's almost like a comedy if you write this as a as a
it's
sketch.
Like, stay at home. Oh, let me have a party at my house. You're not allowed to see your grandmother, but you know what? Let me just have
Boris
this big
Johnson
bashment
said before
party.
he got into office, he would make so many gaffes that nobody knows what to focus on. And the thing
this is a political strategy that they've been doing. This is what Trump's
the thing
party
that
did
behooves
as well.
me with Boris Johnson is before he made London mayor, he made some very derogatory comments. He called black children watermelon pickers with Piccadilly smiles, and he called Muslim women who wear hijabis letterboxes.
Yeah.
And this is the man that you
Wiley
voted
got
into
cancelled,
power.
but this motherfucker saying all this shit. I'm sorry. Again, this is what I'm saying. Somebody like Wiley, who is a black man, that makes comments, not saying I don't agree with all the things that he says, but let's keep it 100.
But some of the things he says are wrong.
No, but the thing is, he was saying what he was saying, but everybody knows he wasn't talking about a whole entire community.
Yeah.
He's talking about what's relative to him.
Wait, why did he get
right?
cancelled again?
I'm not repeating it.
About,
they're calling it
about
anti-Semitic, right? Okay. But however, they did the same thing to Jeremy Corbyn, and it's like, you say anything about anybody else, but when it comes to them, they can do whatever they want.
The thing with Jeremy Corbyn, the only thing I picked up is he wasn't vehement enough in his anti-Semitic ways.
Say?
He didn't say
anything. He didn't say anything. He didn't actually say anything, and they're calling him anti-Semitic.
Today's political, climate, speaking out against the atrocities of Israel lands you into being anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
I was like, for real, like this country, as in Israel, are doing some of the worst genocides. And you can't say anything about them. No one's saying anything about Jewish people. We're talking about the government.
And
they
what
could
they
be
do.
anyone. They could be Jewish, Christian, Muslim, anything. Hindu, for frig's sake. Like, they could be anything. But if they're doing the same action, people need to call it out. But for some reason, like,
Jeremy Corbyn.
they get away with it. But I want to just dial back quickly.
Mm.
You were talking about you mentioned, I can't remember who it was, about trans and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My issue with the over acceptance of the trans community is that they are taking away the experience of real women.
Yeah.
Not real women, sorry. Women that are biologically, I think you got the term is born with a uterus or born with the womb people.
The womb people.
And they are literally...
Yeah.
Females.
You know, this is the problem. Everybody has to be so fucking PC
I don't
when
want to
they
offend
talk.
anybody,
Fuck that,
but
we're
I'm a
women,
woman,
innit?
I'm gonna
You're
say
taking I'm a woman, you're taking away from women. Fuck this is the problem. We have to walk in eggshells so that somebody doesn't get offended. No, transgender are taking a lot from women. I don't care what anybody says, but what I'm saying is they should be equal. Sorry, I'm so passionate about this. They need to be. The thing is, nobody's trying to exclude them. I will never want to exclude transgender women, but it's things like even with their
but we do have
competing in
to
things.
exclude them sometimes.
No, when they're competing in things, just like men have their races, women have their races, transgender should have their race. Sorry, continue.
I just feel like they are definitely living an experience for sure.
Yeah.
And I can't relate to that. Okay.
Yeah.
But when it's like they want to be just like me, who I go through what I go through as a woman, they ain't ever gonna have to give birth. Like they don't know, especially as a black woman, they ain't gonna have to experience giving birth as a black woman and some of the complexities that we face. They don't have to have a period. They don't have hormones like we do. Of course, they're taking androgynous hormones, yes.
It's not the same.
But it's not the same.
Yeah.
They're not a woman like me. And I think when they're becoming the face, they're taking jobs like the
the face
that
of
will be given
women,
to
women of the year.
They're becoming the face of women, becoming women of the year, and whatnot. I think I don't want to exclude them to the point where like it's bad, but I think sometimes we need a differentiation now.
Yeah.
And I think this is a thing where women as well are aiding this like takeover, because women are always so accepting of everyone. We just want to bring everybody in, like we're sisters, but
we're nurturing,
and we're not, and
motherly.
also they're taking.
You say
especially when it
they
comes
like
to-
they're against you. It's
they're
not you
against
versus
No,
them.
no.
But let me tell you something, yeah? If it's a situation where women, I don't see them marching for our rights when it comes to our safeties, our protections, our just even things like our healthcare. They don't speak for us; they speak for themselves. But we speak
And
for
they
them
can,
as well. This is the problem I have. It's disjointed. And also there was a thing as well in America just the other week. I think it was last week or so. There was a transgender woman who was going in, and she hadn't gone through the change down below.
Yeah.
She was in the women's changing room, stark naked with children around, and the women were like, what is going on, right? And she's like, no, I'm a woman, so I can be here.
Yeah.
It caused a whole ruckus and a whole problem where now there was some... Where was
like,
this in
"Fuck."
America?
I would be
I can't
crazy.
remember.
You telling
There
me
was
I'm going to take the kids into the
there
change
was
room.
riots.
You've got your fingers swinging between your legs telling everyone you're a woman. Get out of here.
Exactly. Like there was riots. Antifa was one I mentioned.
Yeah.
They came in the defense of the woman. They're causing all kinds of ruckus. The women are getting accused of being transgender. Transphobic. When really, like,
We're protecting
I don't
our
want to see a
children.
penis when I'm going through trying to get changed. Our children are there. Okay, me, I can process that. If I see that, I can probably just allow it and not look.
there is an
but when
element-
children are around, like, you don't want to expose like little girls to seeing another person's penis. Do you know what I mean?
There is an element of...
Remy's like, let me just speak.
The problem is I'm conflicted because it is my
It is
community, but I
conflicting.
also understand where you're coming
Yeah.
from, because I wouldn't want to have to explain to my 3 or 4-year-old little girl.
That's a woman.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I do get it. I think that the way in which society has chosen to create the narrative has been very forceful and very cumbersome. So
What are
it
you going
makes
to
it
teach your
difficult.
kids?
I'm going
If
to
you
teach.
adopt, for example.
I'm going to have kids biologically.
Don't ask
She's
her
got a
how.
womb, you know.
I know. Yeah.
She's a womb person.
I know. I disagree with it, innit? I disagree with that process.
Why?
What, her having children
Yeah, because-
and raising it in a...
Wait, hold on. I
no.
was going to give you 20 minutes after the show. You fucked yourself now. I'm playing.
It's never too late. These hoes always forget.
2 minutes is good enough. So I don't agree with the process of someone that chooses their sexuality but wants the rights or wants the benefits of someone that doesn't have that sexuality.
Said I chose my sexuality.
Are you saying you haven't chose yours?
Do you think I choose to go through what I go through? Do you think I choose to
We
be...
might
No, we had this chat. Everyone
We've
chooses.
had this before. I
Yeah,
don't
so
choose
everyone chooses to sleep with who they want to sleep with.
Clint, the easiest thing for me to do societally would be to get with a man. And I'm not short of offers. But the
Yeah.
fact of the matter
No,
is...
I'm not.
No, but you
No,
know what, where
I'm
Clint's
saying
coming from, even that's still
I
a
can speak for
choice. You've
myself,
got
yeah.
It's not.
I'm saying that. Sorry to be rude.
Yeah, that is rude. No, that's
I don't mean to be
unnecessary.
rude,
I'm
yeah.
actually, yeah.
No, but I can speak for myself. So all I'm saying is, if you choose to
It's not a choice.
be okay, do you choose who you sleep with or not?
In terms of I have a type, yes.
Yeah, cool. So once you made that choice,
Yeah.
from there you've decided I can't have kids because you're choosing women.
No, it's not a choice. It's not that linear.
One
It's not
moment.
that linear. It's not that linear.
If two men get
But then-
together, they
yeah.
can't have children.
So what about a woman
what
who
they
can't
do
have
is-
kids with a man? So how does that differ?
One moment. Two men can't have children. We know that. Naturally. So they find a way, that's an unnatural way, for them to have children.
Okay.
But once you say, I'm going to be with a man, and when I say right, a woman,
It's
and
scientifically...
impossible.
No, but you're saying a man and a woman is
naturally-
scientifically
One moment.
how you make kids.
Naturally, if two men are healthy, they can't produce a child.
Yeah, I
Naturally,
understand
if a man and a woman are healthy and they've got no issues,
They can
there's no
produce a
problems,
child.
they can produce a child. Same as two women, they can't do it, yeah? So they go down a route that is unnatural.
that. How so? Because
Artificial-
women who are in heterosexual relationships do the same
artificial-
IVF.
One moment. Artificial insemination, right?
Heterosexual women do that. So you're telling me they shouldn't?
I'm saying that if you are choosing because of your sexuality
So
to not
single
have
women,
children,
single
Understand?
heterosexual women who undergo IVF shouldn't do it because they're choosing not to be with a man is what I'm hearing.
this is a health issue.
How's that a health issue? If a heterosexual
because some women
if a
are in
heterosexual woman decides that she doesn't want to be with a man,
can we allow each other to finish, please? If
you're
you ask
not
me a
making
question,
sense.
Okay,
yeah.
so
If you ask me something,
let him
just
land.
allow me to finish it, please.
Yeah,
let me land. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they're, like, as I said it at the beginning, if there's a healthy man and woman, there's no health issues. They can carry and have children. So that's now following your example. So maybe the guy can't produce enough semen, or the woman can't produce enough eggs, whatever their
If there's an
health issue
underlying
is,
medical issue, yeah.
then they're going to go and find a way to help them along their natural path
I agree.
within their heterosexual relationship.
That's fine.
Right? So if a guy wants to be with a guy, they can't have children because why? We know why.
Exactly.
Same as for women. So what you're then deciding to say is, because a heterosexual couple have a health issue
No, you
that
missed my
presents
point.
them, I am allowed to have children the same way they would.
You missed my point. I said
Okay.
to you, what if a heterosexual single woman went through IVF? You're saying because she chooses not to be with a man, she shouldn't have a kid.
A heterosexual single woman.
Yeah.
That's what point are you trying to make?
So you're saying if I, say for example, I decided I wanted
I
to
understand
undergo...
what you said, but I'm saying what point are you trying to make?
Because you're saying basically I shouldn't be entitled to have a child because it's not the natural route.
No,
However,
another
many
woman's doing
women,
something.
many single women, I know one in fact, has decided she doesn't want to be in a relationship with a man, but she would like a child. So she undergoes the same artificial insemination process that I would.
That selfishness is the same as yours, except this person doesn't have a partner and you do.
Why do you think it's selfish that in Remy's case?
Because
In either case.
you've given
I
up.
kind of agree with the single.
You've said, I don't want a man, but I want children. Impossible.
No.
No, naturally.
I think we're going off topic, by the way, guys.
No,
we're
because
talking
this-
about politics, right?
Yeah,
But this is a political
and
thing.
It is a
though.
political
This is a
debate.
political thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
It's
it
a
is a
political
political
thing.
thing. now.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously I'm Muslim, very traditional. The way we are is, men and women get together, they have children. That's the natural process.
I'm aware.
So anything unnatural, as in because of your own vain and selfish desires, not because you've got a health issue, because ultimately IVF, if it helps you carry on because you've got a health issue and you still no children, that's possible.
Okay.
But anyone else, a single woman says, I don't need no
It
man.
is selfish, definitely.
I don't want a man, I want a baby. What? So now she's going to have a selection of sperm. This is how it works, right? And a bio. He's tall, he's 6 foot, he's got dark hair, he's Italian, blah, blah, blah.
But they have to go through the
Just-
same selection
just-
process to help out
What about it?
heterosexual
Just for
relationships, so-
semen.
Yeah.
That's all she wants, is
Yeah.
spunk. Now, that's a very selfish individual, but because they've got the money to pay for it, and
Okay,
it can
so why am I
happen,
selfish then?
then- Because you've chosen to be with someone that you can't procreate with.
I haven't
You made
chosen
that
that.
choice. You just said you choose who you sleep with.
I choose my type, but in terms of the gender I sleep with, I can't help not being sexually attracted to men. I would very much prefer being sexually attracted
Yeah,
to men. It's a
and like
much
I said
easier
before-
route to take.
Sorry for interrupting then.
Sorry.
Like I said before, it's not every attraction you have you act upon.
Okay.
Similarly,
Do you
when a
think
man
you're
and
speaking
woman...
from a place of privilege, though?
Privilege?
Yeah. As a
Why do you think that?
heterosexual person, you've never had to experience the conflicting feelings you feel within yourself growing up and then discovering you're different and knowing that the social norm is to be with the opposite sex, but inside of you there's this burning knowingness that you are attracted to the same sex, and then navigating through that, I think we take away from
Can I answer that? Just
yeah, go on.
So in Islam, I know you're going to write this off. In Islam, we believe that you have outside temptations as well as your desires. Understand? So you have an external influence. We believe demons exist. They whisper to people. We strongly think that is a real. It's a real thing. Same way people say that we have a guardian. A lot of people believe in guardian angels. Angels exist. When it comes to demons, I want to say no, they don't, but they do.
No, they do. For
So-
every good there's an evil. For every evil there's a good.
So these whispers, they're external of you. Now what happens is if you start acting upon the whispers, let's even hold that to the side for a moment. Because earlier on we were talking about cheating. On one of the past episodes, we were talking about cheating. It's the external whispers one, and your internal is the other. But you have to what? Be faithful.
We've got to wrap it up, so you've got to make it quick.
Yeah. But you also have to be faithful, right? So what happens is, for the heterosexual guy, you're trying to be faithful. He's going to get a desire that's going to come for himself, as well as an external whisper, one or the other. In the moment, it's not always going to be clear. Whichever it is, he knows. You shouldn't be doing it,
Where in the Quran
right?
does it say heterosexuality? Where in the Quran does it say homosexuality is a sin?
In the story of Lut.
In the story of Lut.
Yeah, so basically it
What's
happened.
the correct?
Sorry?
I think
Do you
we're
have
going
to-
to go down.
Yeah, we don't.
long path.
Yeah, the chapter's called Lut. If you read it, or Lot, you go to the Quran, look for Lot, you'll find it.
Okay.
The story's there. But to come back to two women being together, or two men being together, even one man. If one man says, I want kids, but I don't want a woman, I just want children. Yeah?
Okay.
Adoption for him is going to be an option.
Okay.
Adoption for a woman could be the same option. But if a woman wants to say, I just want to have a baby, this is very selfish.
Why?
Because we believe that the process should be,
I like how you said we believe rather than projecting. I appreciate that.
we believe that the process should be, obviously we believe that God calls these things, and that's what we try to follow, right?
So God made me. So what's wrong with that?
We're going from
Nothing's wrong with it
politics to
making,
religion.
I'm saying, politically,
Yeah,
it's like
politically.
everything's okay. Guys want to dress up as women. That's not okay. Yeah, and I don't care if you like it or not. It's not all right.
That's by your standard and your political view. That's the thing. Everybody has a different,
It's a
different
religious
ideology.
View. Yeah, it's a religious view, but it's now
Religion is
affected
very
us by-
political as well, I have to say.
I think
Political
just to,
element.
like,
I'm going to let you
wrap
wrap
it
up, Faith, because this was your
I
subject.
think just to wrap it up, my sentiments is that we are becoming more politically extreme.
Yeah.
I think that we are reaching a critical mass when it comes to, people's opinions. There's just so much that we are aware of because we're hyper connected. We have the internet, we have social media, and also what we don't understand is that we're being influenced a lot by social media, and there's people that are paying a lot of money to influence the way that we think, and people are in tune with groupthink as opposed to in tune with themselves, maybe even their religious views, even just their intuition. We don't think for ourselves and we don't do enough action. We just follow like sheep, and then we're told what to be outraged about, and then we are outraged by it.
For 2 minutes.
For 2 minutes, yeah. And I think because certain people have just the last thing I say as well is that because we're hyper connected and we have the internet, you got people who have the initiative to go on YouTube and talk about certain things, and because they use big words and they bamboozle us, and we think, oh God, but they're so all-knowing, we know nothing, they must be more intelligent than us. Then we start thinking, yeah, they're intelligent, when really it's just a whole load of word salad. It doesn't make no sense.
Word salad, I
And
like
so
that.
then we start being their disciples, basically. And then before you know it, you're shooting up people in a school, or we're just so stupid.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
For me, it's your moral basis, and again, what my moral standpoint
Definitely
is.
got to wrap up, man, guys. We've got to go. But this is one of them episodes that we could chew over and chew over and chew over. Make sure you hit us in the comments, DMs if you need to. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. We've been Talk That
Baby, I know